We're going to have one more input about technology, and then you can come back into those dialogues and take that into tea. It's my pleasure now to introduce Lohit. Lohit and I have spent the weekend at CBSC schools in Amritsar. I must say, I think every principal, and particularly the female one, wanted to come and take Lohit's part after his presentation. But Lohit is now nationally and internationally known as, and renowned as an entrepreneur, as a change agent, someone who's trying to push the boundaries of the way that education technology can really transform learning. I'll just get you to grab a seat quite quickly, thanks. Really trying to push the boundaries very quickly in what we can do in learning, and doing that with these case studies. So can I ask you to make Lohit very welcome as he takes us through the next session.
Sure. Thank you, Simon, for all the false words. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Rupal, for starting with music. It's always good to meet musicians. I'm a musician myself, and it was really fascinating to see how you compared learning with Beethoven's symphony. Now, a thought occurred to my mind there that if the symphony is learning, then isn't Beethoven the teacher? And how difficult is it to create so many Beethovens? And that's basically the topic which I'll be talking about now. Incidentally, my presentation style is also music, and which picks up from where Rupal left. How many of you like old songs? Right. How many of you like new songs? How many of you like the 90s songs? Songs from 90s? Yeah, Bollywood. I'm talking about Hindi songs. Songs from no one, right? Very few. Alright, so this was a thought which came to my mind in the morning, and as I was thinking, we do a lot of content delivery, which other industry has a lot of content which passes through. So music is one, movies is another. 90s was a bad phase for both. Let's see how old songs look like, and look into what's catching your attention. Okay, so that was a very nice song, very captivating. I can see a lot of old will be a very wrong word here. A lot of experienced people loving this song. But if you actually look into it, that was a singer who was captivating your attention. Very low music, singer was amazing, music was alright, but the singer was running the show. And what was the problem then? What was good thing then was that the demand was pretty less. Delivery channels were very limited, you only had radio, few televisions maybe, theatres, so the demand was pretty less. So it was very easy to come out with good presentations, good songs in a lot of time. And then the demand increased. In 80s and 90s we had a lot of televisions coming in, and the demand increased, and so they had to produce a lot of new songs. Now to do that, they brought in technology. They brought in so previously you had symphony, a lot of violins bringing in the ensemble. Now we had only one key which recorded the ensemble and could play that. So this is how the song looked like in 90s. Alright, let me play the other song. Right, so that was 90s. Recorded, amazing lyrics, creative lyrics. Lot of creativity there. So that's what was happening. You had a lot of demand, but very few resources to empower the musicians, to empower the singers to deliver their particular content. And this is Amit Trivedi, and you would see how Amit Trivedi makes music now. So you know Amit Trivedi, right? The new generation musicians, all of them are basically technology people, but this is how they make music. One room, everything at a hand's distance, and one man making music with the resources which are customized to him, letting him bring in the arrangement. There's something called as arrangement in music, where apart from the song, you have a lot of things accompanying the song and making it look beautiful. So we saw the old age song, where the singer took the charge, like our old age schools, Gurukul system, and in fact the classroom system, the chalkboard system also. And then came the next phase in 90s, where we brought in generic technology, thinking that will empower the musicians to make great music, but the outcome was not really good, which is where in education we are. We're using a lot of generic content which is not really tailor-made to our teachers, and the usage and the ultimate outcome which comes out is not something which is very impressive. Where we want to be is here, where every teacher is like B1. Every teacher needn't be as skilled as B1, but we empower the resources around the teacher so much that the teacher is able to create outputs like B1. So which is what we'll be talking about. Teaching is a mixture, as far as I've understood with my limited experience, teaching is a mixture of standard tasks and creative tasks. Now we've always been speaking about standard tasks, and we say, alright, this is how we should do lesson planning, this is how we should do delivery. But what about that creative part? Have you ever trained them on creative part? Have you ever empowered them on creative part? Because unless you're creative, then a student would not listen to you, and they would just look around, they would not participate in the classroom, which if doesn't happen, the standard part would not really work well. So we need empowerment in both standard and creative part. This is a pajama, which is what we're giving to our teachers right now. It's one size fits all. So we give a generic content which is like this, not tailor-made to them, and they have to just adjust. Not smart, right? You don't want that. You don't want wearing that and sitting in a conference. You want to be smart. You want to be here. You want some tailor-fit trouser given to the teachers. Just a way of putting it there. So this is how our journey started. I graduated from Bichpilani, and that was the education was the only thing which we knew back then. So we started going around different schools. We touched more than 1.5 lakh students, tested a lot of content with them. Now over the period of time, we saw what content interests student and what doesn't. Ultimately, these are the kind of responses which we were able to get. These are the pictures from Bodar school, but we've connected to a lot many other schools. So as you can see, he is pretty engaged in the content which is being delivered. Okay, why is it not moving? Yeah. This man looking at the content which is being delivered. This is hardcore science going on, by the way, so it's not a joke which is being told to them, it's hardcore science, and you can see the engagement of students. This is Center of Mass, an activity which runs on Center of Mass which is happening. Students are surprised when they look at that particular content, and sometimes the answers, the ways with which you could have got the answer, because they've worked on it before. An ultimate response is like this, which is, which is my motive in all the presentations which I give, where every student is amazed at the end. The outcome is like Beethoven's symphony, where everybody has enjoyed it thoroughly in their heads. Now, we started doing these workshops, and we saw the response was very good, and it was a 5-day workshop. And in fact, the credit is to be given to Mrs. B to find out a pattern in all the photos which she saw, that every student and even the teachers had a pen in their mouth when they were attending the workshop. So we thought, this is where we need to reach. How do we do that? So to make every class like Faizok workshops, we started analyzing what is the content and how do we how do we redesign the teachers' content like Faizok workshops. So this is what we came to. We realized that the whole content can be divided in 4 different ways, and now is when we connect standard to creative. So we said, let's have exposition first. Let's bring the theory first, which is something which is given in the book, direct instruction, no creativity required. And then brings the extended exposition, where instead of theory, now we focus on thought process. So we talk about the scientist, we talk about the philosopher, we talk about the economist, whoever has developed that particular concept, on what is the thought process which went inside his brain. Now that requires storytelling, that requires role plays, which is creative in nature. Then comes refutation, where the teacher has conveyed the thought process and now wants to refute other misconceptions which might be there. So the teacher now brings these students into a discussion with herself where everybody gives misconception and the teacher refutes them all to give them a better clarity on the concept. And then when the teacher is sure that the students have understood the concept, she leaves the students in groups like these where the students then solve the problems and come up with answers with discussion. That is peer-to-peer learning. Now you see how smartly we have distributed the standard and creative part in these 4 domains. Now these are the ways with which we wanted to deliver content, and this was the time, this was the area which was available to us. One was inside the classroom, one was outside the classroom, and we needed to empower teachers to deliver both. Now, normally what happened in the classroom was a teacher did direct instruction in the classroom and let all the creative part outside the classroom, which didn't make sense to us because that's where most of the teachers' skills were required. So we thought, why not flip it? And this was not our concept. Harvard started it in the 90s, and it's only with technology now that we were able to utilize it to its best potential. Then we said, all right, teacher, why don't you give your direct instruction in the video and let it be given to the students to watch at home? And when they come back to the classroom, why don't you do extended exposition, refutation, and discussion? And this is what we tried with our school. And to empower, and this is a process which we followed, and I'll come to the outcomes in some time. We called it flipping the class. And this was the process which was followed. So we sat down with the teachers. We understood what is it, how is it that the teacher teaches in the classroom, what is her style. We defined the teacher's content and we recorded it into videos. Once the videos were recorded, it was given to the students to watch at home. And then we started working with the teacher to plan the lessons for the in-class engagement. Now the in-class engagement were like this. Okay, I'll give you a demonstration of the in-class engagement. This is for class 7. So if you behave like a class 7 and 8 student, you'll be able to see what a student goes through in the class after watching those videos. So this is mathematics. How many of you are mathematicians here? Okay, that's a very good thing that few of them are. Most of them will then be able to enjoy it much better. Alright, so don't write down anything. There will be a lot of calculations, but don't do that on your copy. Just keep it in your head. Before that, let me just ask you, can you name any country starting with the letter A? What's that? Australia. Okay. B. When you ask it to class 7 students, they are pretty loud. Okay, Brazil. C. Canada. D. Denmark. E. England. No. Egypt. Okay, fine. F. Okay, Z. Zimbabwe. Y. Yemen. Okay, not many more people are speaking now. Good. Okay, so now let's do this. Choose any 2-digit number and keep it in your head. Just keep it in your head. And don't say anything to anyone. We'll go really fast. 2-digit number, keep it in your head. Done that? Done that? Done that, sir? Okay. Now add both the digits. And again keep it in your head, the sum. Okay? Done that, Neil? Yeah? Okay. Now the sum, subtract that sum from the initial 2-digit number which you've chosen. A little complicated, so 2-digit number, subtract it with the sum which you've got, right? Now you might have got a 1-digit or a 2-digit number, right? Add all the digits there. Now you have got a final 1-digit number, right? Okay, how many of you are with me right now? Okay, a lot of you. Okay, others might want to try it later. So now subtract 5 from the final 1-digit number which you've got, so that you've got a final 1-digit number. Done? Okay, that was the boring part. Now let's come to the interesting part. Now the final 1-digit number which you've got, replace it with a letter. So if it's 1A, 2B, 3C, 4D, 5E, 6, right? Done that? Okay. Now you've got a letter. Think of a country starting with that letter and keep it in your head. Keep it in your head. Done that? How many of you are with me? Okay, there are still some people left. Okay. So there is a country in your head now, right? That country must end with a particular letter. Think of a land animal with that particular letter and keep it in your head. Done that? Okay. That land animal must end with a particular letter. Think of a fruit starting with that letter and keep it in your head. 7th class students are able to do that. Come on. Be there. Okay, how many of you have got fruit? Okay, there are still some people. Okay. Now the fruit must end with a particular letter. Think of a land animal again, starting with that particular letter, and keep in your head. Okay. How many of you got all the 4 things? Okay. What's your name? Ayushi. Ayushi, you've done all the 4 things, right? Okay. If your calculation is right, then I'll be able to read your eyes. Okay, are you thinking of elephant by any chance? Did you think of orange before that? Kangaroo before that? Denmark before that? Okay. Now, do this magic with your class 7th or 8th student in the class after they have gone through the video of equations in 2 variables. And when you do this particular magic, you tell them that the answer lies in the video which you saw yesterday. And then they retrieve all the information which they've got in the video. They write, okay, 2 generic numbers x, y, what is the value, and then they solve. And then they figure out that the final number which they'll get is 9, and then they subtract 5 and you get 4 and Denmark, etc. So this is the kind of in-class engagement which we designed for the teachers. And to do that, we needed time, which is why we gave the videos to the students to watch at home, so that now the teacher can be free to experiment these things in the classroom. And then finally we got feedback, and accordingly we revised our videos. So this was the whole process which we followed. Outcome, what was the outcome? So there was increased pace in learning. There were better standards and engagements, which I'll show the proof for. And then LSI change agent award. So the students who you saw just now were the part of the workshop and are the part of flipped learning. And it was the difference between the videos which we got from other schools and our own Pula schools were huge. Even the judges said that. And I think it is because they had time and resources to think better. Okay, so I'll come to key issues later. Let me show you some outcomes of flipped.